Yep.
We have the Burj Khalifa climb, or the whole sequence of the Burj Khalifa climb, from Mission Impossible 4 as the number one seed of the cruise bracket, taking on the winner of our play-in game, which was the warehouse fight sequence from Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Hmm.
How did you score this one?
9-1 in favor of Mission Impossible.
I have 10-0 Mission Impossible.
Okay.
And you can tell that I'm not biased that way because normally Batman would win everything for me. So,
Yeah.
uh, why did you score it as high as you did?
I think, well, for one, there's a reason the Mission Impossible 4 scene was rated as like a number one seed.
Yes.
Like it is one of the best action sequences
Ever?
out of all these. Yeah, like it just is. And it's like kind of universally recognizes that now.
Yes.
I I think we should clarify a little bit. What did you consider for that scene?
I considered the climb and the getting back in the window from going down the server room. That's what I considered that.
Okay, perfect. That's what I did as well. I just wanted to make sure.
Holy fuck. So what was interesting is I did all of my research in one day. I did all of my watching in one day and there were a couple scenes I didn't watch in one day, but they've been recent enough and I know them well enough that I can just
Yeah.
pull them from my head. I rewatched Ghost Protocol was one of the first movies or first scenes I watched in succession. I'm watching it on the tablet I'm recording this on. And the whole time I felt so uneasy in the
Mm,
best way possible. I'll be the first to admit I do have a fear of heights. And so that does not help the case. This is in the middle of a movie. This isn't even in an end sequence.
yeah.
And it feels so good as a movie watcher where you just the tension is immediate and you just go that's where all due respect to the first three Mission Impossible movies, they're legitimately great. They're a lot of fun to
Mm,
watch. I'm not
not the second.
great's a strong word, but they're all fun. They all have good pieces. I should say this. They all have great moments.
Sure.
That's what I really meant to say. They all have great moments. They ebb and flow in quality, but they're all pretty good and fun to watch. Ghost Protocol is what takes that franchise from, oh, that's fun to this is I have to watch this movie. If I'm an action
Yeah.
movie fan, you have to watch Mission Impossible because these set pieces are incredible and that's the one that takes that franchise from, oh, doesn't Tom Cruise make that franchise to holy shit, this is an amazing
Yeah.
film for action.
And, and it really felt like this was the one that cemented the idea of like we need to make that one scene that stands out, you know?
Yes, that certainly changes everything in the Mission Impossible franchise.
Because then it felt like kind of almost like a dare to Tom Cruise to be like, "Hey, can you top this?"
Yeah. And it
That's pretty much what it felt like for
I
him.
he's still chasing that, but he
Yeah.
gets damn close every time.
Yeah. And it's just like he's clearly just trying to get back to that adrenaline point
Oh
every
yeah.
single movie.
Oh, I mean also if you haven't seen it already, there's a clip of Matt Damon describing Tom Cruise describing the making of that scene. Go find it. You've seen it. We talked about this, but
Hmm.
if you're a viewer or a listener, Matt Damon describing Tom Cruise describing the making of that scene is incredible. Where his first line is, I've been thinking about this for 15 years. Safety guy said I couldn't do it, so I got a new safety guy. And you're like, that's the start of the story.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like, it's
That's a
amazing.
good that's a good workaround.
And the fact is, if you have legit safety guys going, you can't do that. Like professionals, not like some fucking
Yeah.
schlub. Professional stuntmen that are responsible for this, and they're like, can't do it. And you're like, I'm just gonna get one until I find one that says we
Yes.
can do it. That should tell you how dangerous that scene actually
Yeah.
is,
And
and it's
Tom,
incredible.
Tom Cruise is also lucky that he's at a point where he can also be the producer of the film
Yeah.
because no one would let him do that if he was not a producer.
Oh yeah.
The producers would be like, "There's no way in hell we're letting our lead actor do these things."
Oh yeah.
Otherwise,
We'll risk a
they're
stuntman's life, but we won't risk Tom Cruise's
yeah,
life.
they're not gonna like let up the insurance go against them
Yeah.
of their lead actor doing that shit. Uh-uh.
And
There's
it's
like the crazy ass fucking picture of him just sitting chill as hell up on the top of that fucking building.
it's wild. That's fucked. I've seen that, and every time I see it, my admiration for him as an actor goes up, and as someone who respects adrenaline junkies, I'm like, that's awesome. At the same time, I just go, you're out of your fucking mind. Like,
Yeah,
and I feel
I'm
so uneasy.
I'm fairly certain he's barefoot in the picture too.
He might be, and which again,
So
even more fucked. Like,
I'm gonna look it up real quick. One sec.
Tom Cruise is out of his fucking mind, but it wins 19-1 over
Yeah,
Batman v
yeah,
Superman.
straight up barefoot.
Jesus Christ, that's fucking
He,
wild.
he's insane.
Yes. So we have a 19-1 win over Ghost Protocol. We did talk a lot about Batman v Superman in the Bourne Ultimatum versus Batman v Superman play-in game, which you can find
Yeah.
on episode 43 of the ONETA Show. With that being said, we did say we're going to talk more losers than winners, so we have more to talk about with the winners in the next rounds. I think the scene mapping and the action is impeccable in the warehouse fight sequence, and a lot of good mini moments. Oh, guy pulls out a grenade. Well, what if I kick a human that I have hanging into the guy with the grenade and knock the grenade out of his hands? So you get the Batman workaround of, well, Batman didn't kill him. You're like, he kills plenty of other people in the scene that you can't have that workaround.
Yeah.
When he grapple hooks the crate and whips it over his head and hits the guy into the wall and crushes his skull with that, one obvious kill, violates the Batman rule. However, that shit's fucking incredible to watch. It looks fucking great.
No. Yeah, there's a lot of great action beats in it. Yeah.
And I think you said your favorite part was when Batman actually gets stabbed, pulls the knife out himself, and then stabs the guy.
Yeah.
Because it just
Yeah.
so angry. Batfleck is so angry.
Yeah. I mentioned this in the episode that we talked about it completely, but my big problem with that scene
It's the joke
is
at the end.
the joke at the end. Any time it takes the air out of the scene for me. I don't like it.
There's movies that balance it. There's a few in this tournament that
Yeah.
balance it. This one doesn't, because it goes from this. It's also the redemption of the character is this scene where he's made the turn to not kill Superman.
Yeah,
And
I
then-
suppose that is supposed to be the point. Yeah.
And he's going to save his former enemy's mother to really like, and it's supposed to symbolize like him saving his own mom that he couldn't, and it's him coming back into the light that even though he is the king of the shadows and the ultimate creature of the night, he's always fighting for good. And he doesn't really do that in the first 2/3 of Batman versus Superman. He's just more motivated by, I should kill Superman. Which is wild. But you have all of this where there are, like I said, a couple workarounds where you can say, well, Batman didn't directly kill somebody. And there's a few too many times you're like, you gotta know you killed somebody. But there's at least a transition where it's not clearly, I'm trying to mow everybody down and fuck everybody to the point where they're dead, right? And then you get to that, and she's like, oh, I figured the cape. You're like, oh, fuck. Man.
It's just completely not in line with the tone of the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
So, like, actually a good comparison actually is the Mission Impossible 4 scene, because in that you actually do get a joke that actually really lands and is really good.
Yeah.
Because it's like when he's running down the wall of the tower.
Yeah.
And then the line's not long enough, and then
your line's not long enough. No shit.
Yeah, no shit. Like that's an appropriate joke because one, the Mission Impossible series that fits with the tone of the movies.
Yes.
Like they are slightly comedic. They're not fully Zack Snyder serious the entire time.
Yes.
So like that's my problem with
I also
the
like that
joke in the
the
Batman
joke
scene.
also lands at the end of the Burj Khalifa, where they Tom Cruise has to snap off the line,
Hmm.
and then Jeremy Renner's character catches him, and Paula Patton catches fucking Jeremy Renner. They pull him in, and then Benji's like, "I did it, guys. It was hard,
Yep.
but I did it." And he just comes in, just so tone deaf to what just happened,
Yeah.
and it works perfectly because A, it works for the characters, it works for the tone of the movie, but B, it fits and it
And
lands.
and you also have a director that can handle comedy
Yes.
with Brad Bird
Yeah.
versus someone who I don't believe has ever laughed in his life with Zack Snyder. Like, I can't imagine him actually laughing. So,
He laughs. He laughs at all the comic book nerds that want to protect their character.
oh, okay. Well, that's good to know, I guess.
He was on. I think this was right after I stopped watching Joe Rogan. When Joe Rogan, like, it was like right, like, so I used to really enjoy watching the Joe Rogan show or the Joe Rogan Experience, listening to it when it was pretty much just comedians fucking around talking about the craft of comedy, and then he'd bring on interesting scientists that actually had something to say and weren't quacks. He would balance it out a lot more, and Zack Snyder came on like right after I transitioned away, where I was like, this is getting too wild for me. I can't
Hmm.
handle this. But I've seen multiple clips of it where he's like, the first thing you tell me if you say he can't kill, I want to make him kill people. And you're like, do you not understand the fucking point of the character?
Yeah.
Do you not get it? Like,
Well, once again, it's just tone deaf.
yeah, so he was very just tone deaf and would laugh and he's like, I can't believe they take it so serious. Like, how could he not kill people? It's like, it's a fucking fictional work where you can do anything you want to. You don't have to make it super
Yeah.
real and gritty. Hey, did Christian Bale's Batman kill anybody directly in that movie? No. And you can buy into it, and it's the grittiest and real of it gets. Even the Batman, you can say that. Like,
Yeah.
it ain't that fucking hard. So Ghost Protocol wins 19-1 in the most lopsided game of the tournament thus far.
Yep.
We're gonna
Yeah.
take it to.
And at one point, I gotta say, it was pretty much just pity.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you gave it a pity point because I went 10. I went 10-0. This is a slam
Yeah.
dunk.
I was feeling generous.
You were feeling clearly because you do because I had to fight tooth and nail to get that scene in the tournament. You're like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
And I had to fight. I was like, it's not about the movie as a whole. It's just
Yeah.
the scene.